And peace, peace, peace. I am Phillip Roundtree, and you are tuned into the July 2nd edition of Rhetorically Speaking. Props to those who are watching on Facebook Live. Shout out to those who are watching on YouTube Live. What else? I feel like I'm missing something. Props to the people who are watching on IG Live. Hopefully they get the hint to come on over to this other side where the people are. Listen, man, we're going to have some conversations today. Similar to the conversations we've had yesterday. I'm a little tired. I don't know why. I ain't do nothing all day, but it's been like 90-something degrees here in Philly, and I just don't do well with the heat. I might be the only person who don't do good with the heat, but it's not my thing. Because I'm not a fan of turning on the air conditioner. I got some like box fans running. I don't turn on the central air because I know what that bill is going to look like at the end of the month. And so, especially on quarantine, I limit myself to maybe like an hour or two of the air conditioner. But outside of that, I'm cool. So listen, we're going to get right into it. I might as well throw the Umar up. Cash App is Hashtag Quantify LLC.
Let me see. I'm giving y'all all my wisdom, but where the donations at? Last donation to the school was Richard Harris. Somebody better get on their Cash App. Cash.me/$FDMG school. I better get some donations. I'm about to hang up.
So donations are always appreciated. Again, Hashtag Quantify LLC. So we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday and talking about August Alsina and Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith for that matter. So if you didn't tune in or you don't know what's going on and you haven't been on my timeline or you haven't been on anybody's timeline, you'll know that during the interview with Angela Yee, August Alsina talked about him being in a relationship, apparently a multi-year relationship, with Jada Pinkett Smith, and apparently he had Will Smith's blessing. I had the two hands up. Jada and Will, through their publicists, denied it. But for me, I was just like, this been like a conversation now for the last few years. So I'm gonna play you first what August said, just in case you missed it.
I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation due to the transformation from their marriage to life partnership that they've spoken on several times, and it, not involving romanticism. Mm-hmm. He gave me his blessing, and I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life, and I truly and really, really deeply loved and have a ton of love for her. I devoted myself to it. I gave my full self to it. So much so to the point that I can die right now and be okay with knowing that I truly gave myself to somebody.
Right, you did the right thing.
And I really loved a person. I experienced that. I know what that feels like.
And again, I would have pushed back if I was Angela Yee. I'm not going to let you just get off all this information without me asking follow-up questions. And so again, he's saying he had Will blessing, he loved her. He was in love with her. If he dies, then he can die peacefully knowing that he loves somebody. That's heavy. That's heavy. And so again, their publicist denied it. My position was either August Alsina is psychotic, and this is the truth. He would have to be psychotic. He would have to be delusional if this wasn't true. That means he's been fixated on Jada Pinkett Smith for the last several years. We know they've had a budding friendship. It might have been like a mentor-mentee type of situation as he recovered from his Percocet addiction. Again, if she took advantage of that situation as a mentor, then that's nasty on her part. Things changed in 24 hours because I was calling for Will and Jada to come out. Like, I don't want to hear from your publicists. We don't want you to try and spin this. We need to hear straight from the horse's mouth. And sure enough, Jada dropped this tweet earlier, and I called it because yesterday was Red Cup table talk for me. Jada says today there's some healing that needs to happen, so I'm bringing myself to the red table. Word. And so social media had a field day with it. So Jada, did you lie about August? Now you have some people who want to know while we're sitting here talking about what's happening with August and with Jada. We talk about celebrity. That's what we do in life. I'm not as invested in talking about celebrity, but again, I think there's so many layers here that for me, someone who's a therapist, someone who's a mental health advocate, that it really speaks to those issues. So we know August has dealt with clinical depression. His sister died from cancer 2 years ago. His brother died from murder due to being murdered 10 years ago. We know he met Jada at Lil Willow and Jada in concert. Again, they seem to hit it off. He's appeared on Red Table Talks during the premiere season. He made this song Nunya, where allegedly he's talking about Jada. So we know there's been whispers for the last few years. So I don't get why people are like, oh my gosh, why are we worried about them? That's what we do. We worried about people's business. Why do you have a social media account? Like if we're going to keep it real, let's keep it real. Why do you have a social media account? To keep up what's happening in other people's lives. And I guess because they're celebrity that we're not supposed to care. Now, how invested are you is the question. And so I put this post up on my socials, and I've been getting like different responses from people. Some people saying that they can't see emotional harm being done if August was a consenting adult in the situation. And I'm like, no, if they come out publicly and denounce what it is that he's saying, and it's true, then that can cause August emotional harm. Right? Because it's painting a picture like he's a liar. And so for somebody who was disinvested, as it appears that he was, into this relationship, to be called a liar, to have your thoughts, feelings, and emotions invalidated, man, that hurt. Think about a relationship that you might have been in, where you didn't feel like the person was validating your feelings. I looked at Jada kind of funny when she was talking about his Percocet addiction, and like she was his savior. Like she brought this to the forefront. And he was a part of this, no doubt. But to say that emotional harm can't be done, I think part of it is because this idea that we have about men, especially about black men, that he's a conqueror, that he's oversexed. Somebody else put that on there. Not August, who was out here just having sex with everybody. Again, like he can't be dealing with mental wellness issues. Like he can't be trying to understand who he is in life. And like Jada's above taking advantage of that. Some of the other comments and I'm just reading it right now. I got my phone in my hand. Some people saying, listen, she's milking this for a Red Table Talk. And again, listen, they're a brand. They like Pepsi, a brand name. They like Coca-Cola, a brand name. So I knew this was going to come down the pike. Because if I'm going to speak my truth and I got this platform to do it, I'm not going to just do it on somebody's Twitter. I'm going to get millions of folk to tune in so they can hear me say whatever the truth is or whatever I want the truth to be. They're crafty. They're crafty. You don't become a 100 millionaire by not being crafty. And some would argue by not being shady and a liar too at some point. not being shrewd. That's what we like to call it. And so I'm interested to see what this going to look like for them. Somebody else said, I think Jada manipulated him. He experienced so much trauma, didn't have a good relationship with his mom. Jada old enough to be his mother. Shame on her. He getting clowned because he is a man in the celebrity status of the Smiths. But hey, I wish him healing. I don't think he's crazy at all. Again, I agree. Someone says if this was regular old Jason, this wouldn't even be a thing. Many people with or without drug addiction, mental health issues, etc., will and have gotten their hearts broken. Nothing new. No one knows the entire story except him, Will, and Jada. So they all have accountability in this, whatever it is. I mean, this is bigger than just getting your heart broken, though. Right? This is bigger than just getting your heart broken. I feel like he's resolved with, listen, I was in love with somebody, it didn't work out, and this is where we are. But to have somebody that you were in love with, again, deny you, like Judas did Jesus, you know what I mean? Denied me twice. This is the third time she done denied him. So how does that feel? Right? What does that mean to me, to my existence? A lot of people be talking like they holier than thou, man, till they meet they match. Till they meet that person that could turn their world upside down. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to talk about it on socials. I'm gonna go to see what they saying on my IG about it. Someone says, I refuse to read up on this, but I'm on the side of shut the F up and keeping stuff like this in-house, so August should have kept his mouth shut. Again, they saying he should have kept his mouth shut when Jada in particular was out here talking about him, right? Talking about what's their experiences together. So maybe she shouldn't have been having conversations about his Percocet usage. If we're going to keep it all the way real. Now, listen, if we're going to keep it quiet, we're going to all keep it quiet. But you're not going to just get your ish off on me and I'm just going to chill. Nah. Why do I have to be the adult? You know what I mean? Like, why do I got to be the adult in the situation? No, if this is true to me, if this was real to me, I'm going to speak about it or I'm going to sing about it. Zakia says, stop vilifying the man for sharing a life experience. Peace, whatever's clever. Thanks for joining me. And I don't even necessarily think people are vilifying him. I think people are looking at Jada and them like, yo, y'all tripping. We know what y'all about. Y'all lying to the people in order to keep up this image. Because need I go back?
We're going to be together. We're going to be under the same roof. You might be on one end of that joker with somebody else. And I might be on one of this joker with somebody else.
Yeah.
And I always said, that's ridiculous. But we're going to be in this joker together. Yeah. So that's what we are going to do.
Like they life partners. They going to be together forever. They share families. They share experiences. It's a beautiful thing. But again, don't come out here like y'all holier than thou, man, and paint this picture like he's off. Now, I'm sure they probably strategizing, sitting at the red table. They probably strategize at the blue table before they get to the red table. You know what I mean? But again, I wish that brother the best. I hope he sells some records because, again, that's part of it too. Right? Like, because otherwise you would have did this 3 weeks ago if that's just how you was feeling and you wanted to get this off your chest. So we know you trying to gain from this as well. But I just don't know if you're as masterful as they are. And whatever's clever just joining us. What we're talking about is Jada Pinkett Smith denying the fact that her and the R&B singer August Alsina had a relationship for some years. And we knew they have an unorthodox lifestyle. Now, if people want to say that's their business, now I'm cool with that. That's their business. I'm not asking about what's happening in their bedroom. I'm more concerned about the socio-emotional well-being of a person. like August, or if the roles were reversed like Jada, especially when you want to live your life in the limelight. So if we're going to put it all, have it all under that first 48 light, let's put it all under there. Let's put it all under there. We're going to put everything out. Not just what's good for branding, what's good for marketing. And just like that, man, we're going to keep the party going. We're going to keep the party. Unless y'all got something else to say about Jada. Because again, I'm not out here professing to be right. I'm just giving my thoughts on what I've been thinking. I don't know. It's just, I mean, I've always gotten an inauthentic feel from them folk, man. And then maybe I just get it from celebrities in general. Like, just, I think you're always doing it for the gram. Even before Instagram existed, I always think that you're doing it for the gram. In order to keep up, again, this image. So, and while y'all pondering and thinking about that, I'm going to get right to the next story, man. And the next story also has to do with the shirt I got on. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? Caucasians, right? Caucasians. Well, not necessarily Caucasians, but it does have something to do with Caucasians. So, listen, man, the heat is coming down on the Washington NFL pro football team. We know they use the ethnic slur, the racist term redneck. They might as well use redneck, redskin, which is again is a derogatory slur for indigenous folk, also known as Native Americans. And so today, according to a report, Nike, FedEx, and Pepsi each received letters signed by 87 investment firms and shareholders worth a combined $620 billion. Again, $620 billion, asking the companies to divest and sever ties from the Redskins unless they change their controversial name. And so we know there's been more pressure in recent weeks to change their name, given the social climate following the death of George Floyd. Now, that's major. That's major because we know that white folk don't necessarily make changes, especially when we talk about billionaire white folks, unless their money is compromised. Unless their money is compromised. And so, what was that number again? $620 billion from investors. And they're telling people to take their money out. Because when these individuals tell people like Nike, FedEx, and Pepsi to divest, they're giving them an ultimatum. They're saying either you pull your money out from the Washington NFL football franchise, or we're going to pull our money from you. Right? That's where they are these days. And we know that Daniel Snyder, who owns the team, has been oblivious to it. Not even oblivious. That's not even the proper term to use. He's drawn his line in the sand and has said time and time again that I'm not changing the name. He once told ESPN that the name really means honor and respect. We sing hail to the Redskins. We don't say hurt anybody. We say hail to the Redskins. Braves on the warpath. Fight for old DC. What the hell are you talking about? You got indigenous people coming up to you, suing, saying, yo, change the name. It's a racist slur. And yes, you're going to get 2 or 3 people who are going to say no. 2 or 3 indigenous folk to sit there and say no. I don't see a problem with it. I don't see a problem with it. Like they're representative of the whole or the majority of the pack. They're not. And so the only way for change like this to truly take place is to hit people in their pockets. It's to hit people in their pockets because then they start to see the writing on the wall. Like these statues, these Confederate statues that's starting to get pulled down everywhere. People are saying, no, it's either going to be destruction or we're going to take our coins away. Has DC become a state yet? I don't even know if DC has become a state. Charlotte Kessie on IG says, white people speak nothing but money. Facts. Facts. And I don't know if DC, I know they won statehood through the House, but I think it's going to get struck down in the Senate or something like that. But Eleanor Holmes Norton, who's the District of Columbia's non-voting delegate to the House of Representatives, made it clear what needed to happen if the Redskins wanted to return to the district. So their lease is up where they are now in 2027. And they want to move back into DC instead of being in that Maryland area. But they're like, nah, we don't even want you back with that racist name, because then we're going to have to be associated with it. Even though we are right now, by namesake of Washington, we're going to feel it even more if you come here. So no. Jamal asks, so Snyder changes the name and keeps the bag. What changes? Again, it's not necessarily about, for him, it's not about money, right? For him, it's about being told what to do. We know white folk don't like being told what to do. And we talking about your working poor, right? We talk about the marginalized poor white folk who don't recognize that they're poor marginalized white folk because all they have to lean on is their whiteness. And so we know that the more money you have, the more you like, shit, right? They not trying to hear that. Again, because part of the way that they got to where they are is by not listening to people and doing things their way. And so if you're telling me I've gotten my billions by doing things this way, then no, there's no way you can tell me what to do. Unless you have some dirt on me. Like we saw from the owner of the Clippers, where he had to be caught on tape calling folk the N-word. I'm trying to think of some other owners who've been pushed out. We talk about Marge Schott. She was an owner for the longest time. Owner of the Cincinnati Reds. Till she got in her racist bag. And they still had to be forced out. Because it's not that easy. So what's going to happen? And again, is Nike really going to divest? Is Pepsi really going to divest? Because they make millions off apparel. Why would they? But what's going to happen is, and I was listening to Bomani Jones talk about this a few weeks back. What are you going to be known for? Because that's also something that white folk really, 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 really care about. Their legacy. And so Daniel Snyder hasn't won a football game. He's barely won a playoff game. He hasn't won a Super Bowl. He's barely won a playoff game since he's been the owner in the last 20, 25 years. So his ownership tenure has been a failure when we look at it from a football aspect. So they're not going to be talking about him being a great owner like they will a Mark Cuban. The issues that he had with some sexual harassment that was taking place within the Dallas Mavericks, that's going to get overshadowed because he won a championship with Dirk Nowitzki. And he's one of the brilliant owners. When we talk about these things about race relations, who's been in the forefront? Who's been on camera the most from the NBA? Mark Cuban. Nobody talks about the scandals that took place within his organization. When they say winning is the cure-all, winning is the cure-all for a lot of ills. That's why James Dolan, who owns the New York Knicks, if he doesn't come out with a letter supporting Black Lives Matter, and he sends two to three internal letters before we eventually get to hear from him, people are going to bring that up. That's going to be front and center because he's been horrible as an owner. He's going to go down as being a horrible owner. And so with Daniel Snyder, he's going to go down as being known as the racist who wouldn't change the name. Can you imagine the person that comes in after him? They're going to be like Steve Ballmer of the LA Clippers. When he won the team, oh man, it's like he can do no wrong. And so whoever comes in after Daniel Snyder, unless he passes it down from generation to generation, which would then ingratiate his family if they change the name. Like, all right, you know what, Pops was tripping. We're going to change it from Redskins. That's easy to get some cachet. But these folk live in a bubble, man. We talking about billionaires who live in a bubble. I just saw, not Bill Gates. I just gave him like $60 of my money. Jeff Bezos. He worth now like $164 billion now. I don't know, Ja. I don't know, man. Because again, the stubbornness in these owners, they truly have to be forced. Their hands have to be tied. So as I was speaking about, if Nike divest, if Pepsi divest, like these investment firms who are worth a combined $620 billion, if they do that, then maybe. But again, they could play hardball. They could sit there and say, nah, we're going to stay here. Because we know the NFL is about money for show. And you got more hope than me. Jari Evans says it's either change name or sell team, but I can see him giving majority share to his son and stepping down. And if that's the case, again, his son could get so much cachet off of that decision. So much. But still, it behooves him to change the name now, because then he'll go down as being the steward of a bad football team. He's not going to go down as being the racist owner, which he's looked at as being right now. And so again, yeah, so if he cares about legacy, but some of these bulls don't. They might care about their legacy in the business world, because that's how he's going to be perceived. He's going to be perceived as being, listen, man, wherever he came from, whether it's tech, whether it's big business, whether it's old money, he going to be good in that area. But in the eyes of football, yeah, if he even cares about that. Again, if he even cares about that, he might, like Trump. Trump don't give a about how he going to go down as far as a president. He cares about, listen, I'm known to, I done had it, I done lost it, I done got it back, I done lost it again, and I got it back. And I get $400,000 a year till I die. Like, let's not forget about that. Trump gets roughly $400,000 a year until he dies because he's president. He was president. So I'm Gucci. I'm Gucci on that end. Let me see. Whatever's Clever says, why do you think all these big companies are divesting? Is it a financial decision, public pressure, or are they actually wanting change? Again, I don't think, I'll say maybe a third of these people truly want change. That might be even high. I think majority of them know that right now you have to pick a side and you can't be on the wrong side of history. And so, listen, if you promote racism, if you promote prejudice, if you promote sexism, the people coming for you. We gonna pull you down just like we did those monuments in Columbus. You know what I'm saying? They're afraid right now. And that's what it is. That's why we saw those statements. That's why we see Netflix that investing $100 million. That's why we see these white folk who were voicing marginalized cartoon characters saying, no, we not doing it no more. Because we know we coming for everybody. We just running from one place to another. We gonna get you all. And so, yeah, it's a financial decision. Is it public pressure yet with the Washington football team? Not yet. They haven't felt it yet. But it's coming down the pike. It's coming down the pike. My mother says, I can't help but wonder. It appears they throw us these tidbits. Hopefully they not trying to get us off the task in front of us. And I hate when people say that, mama. Right? I hate when they say like we can't multitask. They like, oh, we didn't ask for the Black Lives Matter in the streets in front of Trump building. We didn't ask for white folk to say, nah, we not voicing these characters anymore. We didn't ask for the money to be invested in these different places. We want justice. We could do both. We can do both. We've been juggling a lot for a long period of time. And for those who lose focus, quote unquote focus, then they never really was in it 100%. Because think about it. When you in something 100%, you can't lose focus. You acknowledge it and say, oh, I see what you did there. But then you keep it moving. Right? I can see the Black Lives Matter on the street. So what's up with Breonna Taylor Killer? And I'm going to talk about when people that's doing that these days too at the end of this. Because I'm sick of, yo, I'm about to go order some pizza. Oh yeah, let's catch arrest the cops who murdered Breonna Taylor. I think that's super nutty. But I'll talk about that later. Whatever's Clever says, it's a great time to be alive to see all of these things happening. Listen, I don't expect any type of true change, true progress in my lifetime. Again, these are incremental steps. Right? These are incremental steps. Just my mom says, just making sure we don't get sidetracked so many years. What happened between King and now? I mean, what happened was, I mean, we've seen a lot of things take place. Like crack is definitely a distractor. Right? Like if we talking about crack, now it's the difference between the crack era and being a distraction and them painting Black Lives Matter. Crack is a distraction, and that took us away because we figuring out how to survive, which caused the ever expanding wealth gap, and we talking about mandatory minimums. We talking about so many other things. Now, those things take away from keeping the focus at hand, even though those are the things that we're supposed to be focused on, right? I think part of it is, again, we needed something tangible. We needed something tangible. See, Martin and Malcolm and Baldwin and all of these other amazing figures, Fannie Lee Hamer, I'm just trying to think of Angela Davis. They had something tangible there. Like you're sitting here telling me I can't sit there. That's tangible, right? A lot of things that were taking place with us they've been overt, but it hasn't been overt in that sense to where it's easily missed. And so again, I still think if it wasn't for COVID, we wouldn't be having the conversations that we're having now about George Floyd. I think part of it is, again, a part of it is my generation, right? We the middle child. So we had to focus on, either getting a career, having a family, and being stable versus Generation Z, who's underneath us, who really the ones that's getting this popping, who's saying, listen, yeah, we don't like none of this. We out here in these streets. We'll figure this out as we go along. And so again, I credit Generation Z for really getting all of this popping, really being out here in the streets and being in these bureaucracies or what have you. But again, when we talking about this, this name change with the Caucasians, again, shout out to the Caucasian t-shirt. Again, and the thing is, I'm sure white people are going to be offended by this. But they have a certain privilege that allows them to be oblivious to it. And it's called whiteness. Let's see if I miss anything. So yeah, I mean that's really all I got on that. I'm interested to see what the response is going to be. Let me see what y'all saying. Some form of real reparations. Government fund HBCU and definitely all state schools and community colleges free courses. Healthcare is a right, not an option. No property tax for homes up to $250K. Half for. John, I feel like you saying you about to run for office, man. You about to get your John Runyon on. That's what I hear you. I see the bag that you in, man. I've been seeing the bag that you in recently. Listen, might be time, brother. Might be time. But no, I agree with all that. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with these new batch of athletes. We know that Mikey's not, and for those who are not familiar with Mikey is, I think Mikey just turned 16, right? Number one basketball player in the country for his class. I guess it's like 2022, 2023, something like that. And he said he's considering an HBCU. Now, I don't think that's happening because there's too much that's taking place in these predominantly white institutions where we talk about money exchanging hands. It's just too much shady that's going down that he could benefit from for him to ever consider going to an HBCU. I appreciate the thought process. Right? I appreciate the thought process. Because that means you thinking at 16, doing a lot more than I was at 16. I was worried about getting a $5 t-shirt, white t-shirt that was 3X off the stand. But it's good to see that he's thinking, right? But again, we talk about imagination. Why not? Why can't all the black athletes go? Because I don't think a lot of us have this awareness of blackness. Trust me, if I could, like Sean said, man, and Sean Poe running for office. So if Sean Poe running for office, you know what I mean? Anybody can. But he said if I could start from scratch, I would sign with Def Jam. If I could start from scratch, I would definitely go to a HBCU. But I didn't have that awareness. I was just happy to get in where I got into. And now I'm about to be 4 degrees later. I'm still regretting not going to a HBCU. The only reason I'm not going for a doctoral program is because, unfortunately, HBCUs don't have that type of funding. Right? So I was looking at Howard's PhD in social work. They don't have the funding like these white institutions get. Because their alumni is in there throwing back money. I saw a picture of all of these, and you might have seen them. They be different ones, like all these black male Harvard law graduates. How amazing is this? And I'm like, yo, why y'all ain't go to Howard? That's amazing. But we prop up these white institutions, the Stanfords, the Harvards, the Yales, when we can have the same thing at the Howards, at the Hamptons, at the Maryland Eastern Shores, at the Bowie States, at the Bethune-Cookmans. But that comes with not wanting to I don't want to say, and you can't want to indoctrinate into the white world if that's the way you want to go, right? You might got to sacrifice a little bit, sacrifice some coin. I know that sounds a lot crazy in the world that we in. Especially when we know that black folk don't have that much cash. But we need our elite to sacrifice. That's what my goal is. I want to get to Howard and teach. And just chill. Like my old head. And his name, I don't know why, I just had him on the radio a couple months ago. Dr. Carr, Dr. Greg Carr. He living the dream. But yeah, what Shakir says, if I could do it all over, I would go to a HBCU. Listen. But I didn't have an understanding of my blackness and what that looked like at that moment in time. And who do we have? Again, when we talk about the racist infrastructure that exists in education, the only thing I knew about black folk through their books was indentured servants. Word? And that was if I decided to open their history books. Now I'm kind of thankful that I didn't. Because again, unless it's happening on the outside, and I see some of these students from Masterman, I believe they're suing, I believe they're doing a protest with regards to African American history. Words escaping me. Something with African American history curriculum. There we go. Taking place. See, Josh says I got one full scholarship by HBCU. Again, the money not there. Like my son, he goes to North Carolina A&T. He had all straight A's through high school, still paying out of pocket. Because they're not even giving scholarships out like that. Also at predominantly white institutions. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Cheney, the only one that's now starting to be on the upswing. I went there to speak last year, and they only roughly had about 400, 500 students. It was hard to watch, but I see now that they're doing better. But we see people aren't enrolling in these traditional 4-year institutions like they once were. People are going to community college. They're doing these online programs, online schooling for cheaper. That's heavy. So we're gonna get into it. Like I said, I got two more stories. This next one is super brief. God bless the dead Kobe Bean Bryant. Hated Kobe, but it's a good hate. Because he was that good and that annoying. But he's going to be the cover athlete for NBA 2K21. Then they're also going to have Damian Lillard and Zion Williamson. So that was love. So again, like I said, that was going to be brief. Rest in peace. Now, the last thing I want to get into is this thing with Breonna Taylor. I've been frustrated recently, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. I've been frustrated recently within the last few weeks in watching people, what I consider, besmirch her name. I'm talking about black folk. And minimize what's taking place with Breonna Taylor. So I just got finished reading an article by Michael Arsenault, and it encapsulated my thoughts, right? Like, I'm sick of seeing, I'm about to go eat some pepperoni pizza, arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. I'm not worried about Jada and Will Smith. Oh yeah, arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. And I'm sure you all have seen it. Some of y'all might have posted it. And again, I get it. It's to somewhat keep the attention on Breonna Taylor. But also what it does, it makes her seem like she's a punchline of the most mundane and meaningless sentences. And what impact does that have? If I'm seeing 100 people put the same corny bullshit, oh yeah, I'm over here chilling, playing the game. Arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. And if I keep seeing this repeatedly, it's going to desensitize me to not only the name of Breonna Taylor, but it minimized that she was murdered in her home by Louisville police officers. And again, what type of action is that? That's not an action step. Now, I saw one person, they were kind of clever with it. They said, click the link in my bio. And the link in the bio pulled up the email address of the district attorney. Some of them pulled up an already populated email, and you can just press send. But for folk just seeing it and they're just pressing it, and again, it's saying her name is not trending anymore. Again, part of me can understand that. But we also need to keep the seriousness of it there. And she's not a oh by the way, but she's front and center. Because again, the more and more you do that, the more it inauthenticates. I don't even know if that's the right word that I want to use. The experience that she's had. And again, maybe I'm old. Maybe this is just the new thing. People are trying to be clever. Again, I can't keep up with all the Joneses. That's not what I'm here for. But to me, it looks nasty. To me, it's nasty. It's like dressing up for church. Even though you can come as you are now. Remember, listen, if you're going to come correct, because this is serious business. This is about your soul. This is about salvation. Don't be coming here with your jeans on. Coming here looking like you came from the club last night. Show some respect. And that's what I'm saying. Put some respect on Breonna Taylor's name. She doesn't deserve to go to the end of the most menial and mundane sentence that you can create just because you think you're being clever. Because what you're doing is you're creating a caricature of the entire situation. And she's worth more than a caricature. What if that was you? You want to be trending by any means necessary? Or do you want people to just put a little more compassion, a little more purpose into it? Especially if you're not going the extra mile by calling these numbers that you see posted. Or emailing the district attorney. For every time you want to post that, email the district attorney. Right? I don't see Janine Cook doing that, who owns Harriet's Bookshop here in Philadelphia. I see her on the plane to Louisville in an open carry state where somebody gets killed in the midst of the protest, handing out books. See, and if we're going to do it for Breonna Taylor, we're going to do it for Breonna Taylor. This ain't no kiki, let's joke and make light and for it to be fun. It ain't shit funny. This shit is corny. We got to do better. And we ain't doing better for me. We doing better for her. We doing better for her boyfriend. We doing better for her family, who all got to live with this. So yeah, they don't give a damn if you just got out the shower. Oh yeah, arrest the cops that murdered Breonna Taylor. Show some self-respect, man. Yo, I'm out of here.